Hey everybody, it's Angela, and I just have a process video today. And these are some pictures of my stepdaughter, and she is expecting her first child. This is my first grandbaby this weekend. And so I've just done a baby bump progression, and I'm going to use this new collection from Teresa Collins, the Nine Co. And this is one I got from a cherry on top. It was part of my gift certificate for the winning Nancy's 30th birthday challenge. Thank you, Nancy. And so I ordered the collection and a couple of the like rub-ons and I think the wood veneers and some of the little ephemera pack. So I'm just kind of going through the papers here, trying to decide what I liked and what I wanted to use. And I love the touches of gold foil that this collection has. So it was really hard to choose a paper. And although I did notice that the patterns are all pretty bright, pretty bold. There's not any very quiet papers in there. So I had a little bit of a hard time with that. And I was looking through that paper thinking maybe I could highlight Allison's name, the baby's name, through there, but it just wouldn't quite work out. So I go with this little paper with these little like dandelion wishies floating, and I love that. It kind of reminds me of childhood and stuff like that, and wishes. So I pulled that out, and then this collection has a lot of orange in it, so I'm going to go with that. And so I went with a black and white photo. You probably saw at the beginning. I printed it out 3 on a page when I printed it, 1 in color and 2 in black and white. And I'll probably give 1 to my stepdaughter to put in her baby book, and then I might do another layout with the other one. I'm not sure yet. So anyhow, because there weren't any really quiet or more solid papers in that collection, I dipped it into my cardstock, and I pulled out some that are kind of more toward the grays. I pulled out a yellow, a green, and the white, and a black. And so I just wasn't sure. I love that green, but it just didn't quite seem to match the greens that are in this collection. They're a little more muted. They have a little more black in them. So I really liked the yellow and the black. So I go ahead and I mount just a tiny thin line of yellow around there. And the yellow wasn't exact, but I figured I was going to double mat this, and the yellow would be separated from the pattern paper with the black. So I go ahead and go with that. And this layout, to be honest, I don't think I've ever pulled as much stuff up and put it back down on a layout as I did on this one. So I had, a little bit of a struggle using the collection. And I really love this floral, so I go ahead and I cut a piece of that to use as a mat, and I use the bottom there where more of the yellow flowers would show, because once you mat it, you don't necessarily see all of it, you just see what's peeking out. So I kind of wanted to fussy cut it so a little bit of the yellow would be showing. And then I also love this orange triangle with the touches of gold in it, and so I pull out a piece of that as well. And it just was still looking busy. So here I am, I'm kind of fussing with, should I just put the floral at the bottom? Should I not use the floral at all? Should I divide it in half? And so I go with this first. And then I think, maybe I'll just split the paper and put some of the floral on the top and the bottom. So you'll see me do that here in just a little bit. So I'm looking at my stickers, I'm looking at the ephemera pack, and I'm looking at the chipboard pieces and the rub-ons. I decide not to go with the rub-ons on this layout. And then I look at the cut apart sheets too and see if, what things are in there that I might want to use. And I love this this little card here with the heart on it, and it says just a few thoughts on it. So I thought that's where I'd do my journaling. And then I just pull out the ephemera pieces and look through it. I love the So Happy, but I don't think I wind up using it. And there's lots of little hearts and florals and stuff. And I love how the floral pieces just kind of pull all the colors together. I didn't want anything that would cover up the photo too much, because you kind of have to, see the whole thing in order to, get the progression. I am looking through the sticker sheets, and I was just really undecided on this layout. I had a hard time. So I open up the chipboard pieces, and the chipboard has some of the same things as the ephemera pack, but the chipboards are a little bit larger in scale. So I'm thinking about putting that So Happy up there, but it's still, everything's a little bit too busy. So I think I'm going to go with mounting some gray just to break up some of the patterns a little bit more so than just the small mat that I have. So I cut a strip of gray and put down there on the bottom, and I'm thinking if I put some embellishments on top of that, they'll pop. You'll be able to see that floral a little better. And so that's still not doing it for me. So then it's the yellow mat, I think, that was bothering me. So I take the whole thing apart, and I take the yellow mat off completely. And then I wind up still using the triangle paper, but just splitting it and putting it on the top and bottom and leaving the gray strip in the middle. So you'll see here, I'm cutting the arrows down. And I've taken the yellow mat, I think, completely off by now. So I'm just kind of re-adhering it. After I pulled it up, it kind of lost some of its stickiness. And then I go ahead and put the gray mat down, and that just, I don't know, it's just not as busy. It's just a little bit quieter. And now the pieces that I put on there are going to show up a little more. And so I thought, well, I should put another card or something in order to put that So Happy on, something to ground it. So I'm thinking of putting that card there, but it's too small, and I don't really like it turned on its side. And like I said, I'm just really undecided. So I look back through, looking at the floral again, and things just aren't going up against those patterns very well. So I go into my stash, and I had this one gold doily. That's my last gold doily. And I split it in half. And then that gives me something to ground some of these embellishments on. So I think I give up on the So Happy. And I go with putting the doily and putting a floral. So I'm kind of liking that. And so I go ahead and put the doily down and just kind of tuck it behind there. And then I use this chipboard floral and let that kind of stick up. And that shows up a lot better. And I don't know, it just finally, at this point is when things finally started coming together for me. So I put the other half of the doily there, and then put my journaling block down. And then I know I want to echo those florals toward the bottom. And I want to use the chipboard piece, but it's just too big to fit down there because the scale was larger. So I go ahead and use just the ephemera piece. I'm thinking about putting this other floral on there and making another cluster, but it just doesn't work out. So I go ahead and put that aside and decide to go with hearts instead. And I love these little stacked hearts here. I thought they were really cute. So I go ahead and kind of put those at the intersection where all those meet, and that kind of connects the picture to the mat, to the journaling card, to the doily, and pulls it all together. I put some of the ephemera hearts on there, and then I go with some of the chipboard hearts too. So I go with that as the title, but you'll see I'll pull it off here later. Like I said, I pulled a lot of things off. I'd put it down, pull it off. So here are the chipboard hearts. And I'm kind of trying to decide where to put that. have some of the flat ephemera hearts that I put on there as well. Put another chipboard piece up at the top there. And then I go back to my chipboard pieces and look for some other things. I love this little sentiment that says "so sweet." So I go ahead and put that at the top of my journaling card. And this life, I was going to do some journaling about the life, you know, that she was bringing into the world and stuff. So I wanted to put Allison's name on there. So I'm looking at those stickers and trying to figure out where that would fit. And I'm thinking about putting it onto the banner and just covering up this life and just putting Allison. But once I put it on there, I find that it's just too big to fit in that space. So I think I'm going to put it just below the banner. So I pull up this heart and then I put down the letters, and then they just look crowded in there when I put them. So I wind up pulling the letters off too. Like I said, I think I pulled up pretty much everything up off this layout at some point. So I go ahead and fit her name in there, but it just looks, crowded, and it just looks kind of blah. I guess because there's all that white and then it's a thin font. So I'm like, eh. So I go ahead and I pull that up. And then I decide to just put the letters onto the gray mat where you can, you know, actually see them so they don't get lost. So I move those down. And I think I'm just going to go with her name for the title and then the "so sweet." And so I go ahead and put that little heart there. And that kind of connects the name, the word Allison, to the cluster above it. And then I pull out these two ephemera hearts and I layer them so that they kind of look like that chipboard piece down below where they're kind of overlapping. So I'm finally liking that. And I go back through and I find this other little piece, an arrow with a heart that kind of matches that journaling card. And I think about putting it there, but it's just too crowded. So I go ahead and just kind of put it at the top, kind of coming out of that heart. And then I look through some more and find another sentiment on there that says, I'm not sure what it says. I can't read it. You'll see it in the close-ups. I just put another sentiment down there, and then I look again through my chipboards and through my stickers. And I didn't think I wanted to put the wood veneers on here at this point, but I did want to kind of open the pack and just kind of see the sizes and what items there were. And I kind of look and I think, no, the owl would have been cute, but he was just too big to fit up there. And so I'm going to save those for another layout. And at this point, I'm really liking it, and I'm thinking, well, am I done or not? And I thought it needed some more texture. So I pull out this gold thread. It's a roll that I got at a thrift store. And I just pull that out, and then I pull up again, I'm pulling up something else. I pull up the hearts, and I just slide the string behind it, and then tie a little bow. And then I leave the tails kind of long because I want them to kind of cascade down a little bit. So I try putting a little bit of dot adhesive on the back to tack them down. And that doesn't, I mean, it works okay, but it doesn't work great. So I do wind up kind of sticking a few other things over it. So I put a little dot of glue there just to keep the bow from unraveling, you know, if it were to get caught or something, because that thread's a little, it's a little slippery, I guess, because it's metallic. So it, you know, doesn't necessarily want to stay knotted in a bow. So just putting that little drop of glue will hold it. And so here I am peeling up another item. And so I can slip the thread around that chipboard embellishment as well. And I go ahead and do the same thing, just tie a bow on that. And then I leave the threads kind of long. And that one, I stick the one end underneath that heart, and that works pretty well to hold the tail kind of where I want it. And at the very end, oh, here I put another dotted glue on that bow so it doesn't come unraveled. It doesn't show on this, but at the very end, I do add a bow up there where that second tail is, and a bow, well, you'll see it at the end when I do the still shots. So I cover up my photo just to put a little of the Heidi Swap Gold ink, and I just dot a little bit of that around. And then on the bottom, I really like the extra little sparkle it gives. And I just heat that up, and I'll show a few close-ups of it at this point. And like I said, when I was done, I had turned the camera off already, and then I looked around my desk to see if there was anything else I wanted to add. And I saw those American Craft bows that I've used on my last couple layouts, and I still have more of. So I do put a couple bows, and then there was one resin flower that was sitting on my desk that was orange, so I went ahead and stuck it on here as well. And you'll see that at the end. And that is my layout, and I really like how it turned out. I mean, I must have glued things down and pulled them up and glued them down again more on this layout than I have on any lately and everything, but I love how it came out. And I'll do some journaling with the black Sharpie down in that journaling box. So I'm going to show the still here, and you can see the American Crafts bow on the upper left corner, and then at the top of the journaling card, and then the resin flowers on the bottom right. So thank you so much for watching. If you have any questions or comments, just leave them below. Talk to you later, guys. Bye.